Welcome to ReReview, where we watch movies from our past with a perspective from today. Your hosts are Matt, Bobby, and Austin, and we love the films from our youth, so we're taking a look back to see if they still hold up. On this episode, we're discussing The Negotiator. It was released in 1998, directed by F. Gary Gray, stars Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey, and David Morse. This movie is all about figuring out who to trust. Now, this is a fair warning. We're spoiling a 27-year-old movie, so if you haven't seen it, we will be revealing key plot points. I think the first thing I want to reveal is, what kind of affinity do you have for the F word? Do you use it often in your daily life? Is it something that is
only when I
just a common thing? Because it can be a noun, an adverb, a verb. It could just fill in so many spaces. It's such a versatile word.
Only when I encounter reptiles on transportation.
Yeah, no, this is a good response to it, when you're scared and excited. Thinking of the first time I saw this film, you know what I thought? Man, they use the F word a lot. And according to the interwebs, 88 times in the length of the film did we get a lot of F word action. And I think at that time in my youth when I saw this, I was like, man, that is a lot of cussing. Should I be watching a movie like this?
Do you think, obviously this was towards the late 90s, had they not had all the F-bombs in it, do you think it still would have got the rated R rating?
No, I think PG-13 easy.
You think so? So you don't think that it pushed there wasn't violence or anything?
I mean, maybe there was some blood, but not a ton.
Not enough. So literally,
nudity, right?
They cost themselves the rating, and because that's the thing, right? Like in Hollywood, it's the R rating will drop potentially your viewership. You have to really be something special to really make money on a rated R. Mm-hmm. So somebody made the conscious choice that those F-bombs were worth potential money
to let Samuel just fly.
Yeah.
To just let him do the thing that we would only want from him, which is F-bombs as many times as possible.
I mean, maybe they thought that people would think oh, this is a more risque kind of movie. We want to see it, as opposed to if it's PG-13, maybe they're holding back on stuff that they shouldn't be from a marketing standpoint.
But I think that's a good question, man, that if you take the context or everything that we saw in the film, I can't think of anything else that would have made it rated R, save for the language. And even now, do they still do that with the films today? I don't know. A lot has changed in 27 years. Can you drop a lot of F-bombs and it'll be okay? Is that still the PG-13 limit?
Still the one roll. You get one.
Even getting one, I guess you're right, sounds kind of amazing to me.
But it just begs the question of is it something that because of who they got in the role, they were it's like Joe Pesci in Home Alone, right?
Right.
They had to keep telling him, John Hughes had to kept saying hey, you're cussing. So that's how we get the Joe Pesci mumble in those two movies, because that was him just stopping himself from doing it, because he's Goodfellas and everything, he's used to that is just part of his mannerism. So same thing with Sam Jackson. We know him for that now, and probably at the time too, from Pulp Fiction and everything else he had been in. But was it just a conscious choice to say, or was it literally if we pulled up the script, oh no, those F-bombs were always intentional and it was part of the story. And so I don't know. It's such a weird choice, because to me, it's not like it added anything. It's not because I know a lot of times they'll not that I'd want Sam Jackson to say gee golly or frick or anything like that, fudge sickles, I wouldn't want any of that. But, usually profanity, just like nudity, is usually used to amp up, to adultify, to whatever situations that wouldn't I think that between the situations, the music, the way that the editing and stuff, it had the tension, it had everything. Had they not had those in there, not saying censored them, I definitely don't want to see a bunch of dubbed, F-bombs, I do
want to watch the TV version of this movie.
well, it was what was it? Galaxy Quest, where they obviously censored Sigourney Weaver profanity in order to keep it at that level. It's I don't want that, but at the same time, I'm just could they have done this movie more service by not having that and had that PG-13 rating to bring in the younger audience, or where they're just we're not going to get them anyways. We're not getting the teenagers into this one. This is Was Titanic still in theaters at this time? I can't even remember because they was in there forever. So like we're not getting them. So let's just go for it.
Yeah, I think that is a good question, just in terms of, again, my initial reaction being like, oh my gosh, this movie has a lot of cussing. And then right now, as a recap for what we just watched, I clearly have been desensitized. Like it was just part of everything, and it made sense to me.
I don't know how actual like cops, we've mentioned this before, like I don't understand how actual cops do their work. I mean, are they always like swearing and stuff, or is that just what they do like in the movies?
I feel like in general adults swear a lot in daily life.
A lot of it was workplace swearing to me. Like, I mean, sure, there was like Paul Giamatti's swore a bunch, and then some other people did, but there was a fair amount of workplace swearing, I think.
You know what? I have to appreciate, Bobby, that you call a hostage situation the workplace. let's just take a step back.
It's just a casual Tuesday. I mean,
let me clock in and make sure my hours are logged.
Oh my goodness. Well, we started, one of the things we talked through is just sort of the timing of understanding that we have Samuel L. Jackson, we have Kevin Spacey, and I think it was Bobby, you maybe mentioned, wow, 40 minutes have passed and we still haven't seen Kevin Spacey, right? This long setup is done to introduce you to the character of Danny Roman and to get you attached. Do you feel like they were successful at that?
I mean, I never thought he did it. Like,
well, but I mean, I don't. So the one thing that the movie never did do is they never did introduce the mystery of it, whether or not he was actually like. They showed you. So if they wanted to make it vague, they could have showed him and Nate walk out to the car, and they just show them talking in the car without actually being able to hear them. I think that would have kept that aspect. I don't think they ever tried to sell it on was he guilty or not. It was the fact that you knew he wasn't guilty. It made you equally as frustrated as him.
Well,
the system,
yes, exactly.
fail him, right?
In the very beginning, they showed this kind of like really awkward like part where he got real angry with the hostage dude in the very, very beginning, where it looked like he wanted to shoot him or something.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that was like an intentional button to kind of like bring back to the end to say, hey, look, like he looked like he was going to snap at the beginning. He might hear,
because his life was put in risk, right? And then the entire premise of this is that ultimately, once again, his life is being put at risk by the people that supposedly care about him. Do you like Danny Roman?
Do I like Danny? I think that he is a character that I don't know if I necessarily like connect with, but I understand his direction. Like if I talked about earlier, it kind of reminded me of watching John Q with Denzel Washington. I think because that scenario was a little bit more relatable. Obviously, a loved one was in danger. Everyone's had to deal with, the travesty of, U.S. healthcare and everything. And you were able to feel their frustration. This one, when I first watched it way back in the day, I don't think I really got I don't think I empathized back then with the plight that he was going through. Now, being more aware of how the system can be very unjust and very one-sided against somebody, I think I empathize with his character more. But as far as the way that they presented his character, like I don't know if they gave him enough character in and of himself for me to connect to. If I think about like The Rock, right? I made comparisons to that as we were watching it, with Nick Cage's character, like very new character type, very, had his own character traits and stuff like that. I think it was able to kind of establish with it. It's just hard because it's Sam Jackson.
Well, I think
it doesn't matter if he's in a Jedi robe, an afro, or whatever. It's Sam Jackson, and so it's really hard to not just be it's Sam Jackson.
Well, I think that was one of the trivia things you mentioned, that this role was originally supposed to be for Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah,
that's a wildly different thing. Bobby, would you have taken Sylvester in the role?
I don't know. I mean, it'd be such a different movie, I'm
picturing Demolition Man him.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, it's a little bit hard to picture, like I think I could see it, but and then like you know, you'd think like, okay, probably wouldn't be Kevin Spacey if it wasn't Sam Jackson, you know, that kind of thing. So
I was assuming it'd still be Kevin just with Sylvester,
really?
and Kevin's just frustrated the whole time.
The entire time he's on the phone, he's like, "What? What did you say? I didn't catch that. Say that again." Like, sir, are you eating right now? Like finish, swallow, and then let me know. You. Oh shit. Okay, this is gonna be tough. Fuck. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Sylvester Stallone was really good in Copland. Like he had famously gained a bunch of weight, like to play that role. And so I could see it. It's kind of like a similar kind of police corruption kind of movie. So I could see it.
So the idea, you know, we're having two people meet who are in the same industry, but never really work together and only know of each other. You know, you get the whole setup. Danny's good cop, but he's going to be the fall guy for the bad cops, and ultimately he puts himself in a situation he's familiar with, but just being on the other side of it. But we get another negotiator in Chris Sabian with Kevin Spacey that is this sort of different. You know, Danny represented, I think, what risk because of what we saw in the first scene and his willingness to go put himself in the line of danger. And I'm not saying that the character Chris Sabian wouldn't do that, but they present him very early to say, oh, his negotiating tactics are to just sit and never do anything, right? To spend 55 hours. So comparing and juxtaposing the two, and then especially looking at how they tried to sell this movie originally from the trailer, which was based around this was going to be like a two negotiator buddy pal film where they go kick ass or something. How did you feel about the Chris Sabian character?
It was an interesting dynamic to have the two negotiators facing off against each other in a way. I think that if you look at how like the two of them, because you're right, he was introduced really late in the movie. So you had got introduced into, you know, Danny, you got introduced to the whole situation. You got a little bit of a moment, kind of like in The Fugitive, where you got introduced to the side characters that may or may not be in on it, you know? And you got like 45 minutes into it, and then you get introduced to Chris Sabian where he's, you know, negotiating his wife basically. So they very much, the first time you see him, it's more of a family scenario, more of like a domestic thing compared to obviously with Danny's. His was like an actual live negotiation type situation. So it was two drastically different ways of introducing somebody, where one of them was, you know, started off very much risking himself. And then the other one who, you know, you kind of got to slowly build up your perception of how he approached things.
I like that opening scene. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I think that those are the better ways to introduce these kind of characters, because it allows you to establish the character types, the supporting characters, what they do. It's kind of like Speed, right? You know, when you introduce, you know, the characters, and it's actually very similar now that I think about it. A hostage situation, but in an elevator. So it gives you a chance to get to know them without it being like too exposition-y. So like you don't have like, you know, a news reporter saying like Danny Roman is known for blah blah blah, you know, like, and giving you an entire breakdown of the character. I think that going back to the original question about Sabian, I liked his character. I think that he had a much more enviable role in this because he had to, you know, go at it from a third party perspective. And so, you know, he, you know, what was it? The 5 years, no accidents thing that he brought up or whatever.
Right.
And, you know, so he's going into this, and then he, you know,
25 years on the job, 5 years, no accidents.
He has no reason to believe Danny's claim that, you know, this is an inside job or conspiracy or whatever. So technically he doesn't know that he's potentially working next to people who want to kill, you know, Danny, that's working against him actively. So in a way, his position in the movie was a little bit stronger than Danny's in a way, because he had a little bit more conflict to work with. Like it was a very good way of having almost dual main characters in that sense, to be able to have the two different sides, one person who's in it, who knows he's innocent, and the other person who's not in it, who doesn't know who to believe or trust. So it worked well against each other. I kind of wish there would have been more time to have the two interact beyond a phone call, but the limited interaction between them, I think, worked out pretty well.
There wasn't like a mustache twisting villain throughout a lot of it. A lot of it was just the good guys trying to figure out what happened. You have all these like evil looking dudes that play the villains and corrupt cops and all sorts of other movies. And you have the red herring guy who is kind of like the hothead who doesn't get along with Sam Jackson. And so you think, oh, maybe this guy could be it. And then all these other just like older white dude looking, corrupt looking cop guys are like, okay, yeah, it could be any one of these. But I did like the idea that it's almost like there wasn't even a villain in this movie. I mean, they were just kind of like, I mean, the guy and the lieutenant guy was kind of made to be that guy, but he was kind of like quiet for a lot of it. It almost like there really wasn't a bad guy.
Ron Rifkin is Grant Frost.
Right, but he wasn't. But like he was just kind of one of the guys there for like 99% of the movie until the very end. He comes out and then there was a whole deal where he was it looked like he could be the informant.
I think you hit on one of my notes I actually took down. The cast felt like a cast of regular people. It didn't feel like this, I don't know, maybe a group of actors and actresses.
I mean, I really liked the cast. I mean, the only thing is that like everybody looked familiar from something else. Like every single one of them. It was like they were just like, oh yeah, I liked you in this. Let's get you in this one again. It's like almost all of them.
Well, I kind of want to go full, what you mentioned, Matt, go full main character here, Bobby. So you're the main character. You're a negotiator. You're working for the police. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're planting some evidence in your home. Is this the path you're taking? Or are you just going to jail and getting thrown in?
No, see, this is one of my main pet peeves about these kinds of movies is that basically like they're convicted of a crime, right? And so to try to absolve themselves of the original crime, they go and commit a bunch of more crimes. And it's like, wait a minute, like and then at the end it's always like they never mention like, hey, oh wait, we have to get you because you committed all these other crimes even though you proved that you're not guilty of the original one, but now you have a whole bunch of other crap we have to tack on to your rap sheet now.
But again, from the main character point of view, Bobby, would you not do that for your wife? Would you not keep your promise?
I mean, honestly, it's a tricky situation because like basically like the cards are stacked up against you, right? Like, so basically like he's got all this evidence against him. It's really, really hard. Like you're relying on the jury process, the legal process. I mean, I don't know if I would go to quite the lengths that he went to. I mean, maybe I'd try to hire like an investigative firm or whatever and be like,
I love it.
Hey, you think you guys can help me out here and like prove like these wire fraud crimes and
but like you're still sitting in jail the entire time and you're a cop in jail. Like they don't do well amongst other prisoners.
Right. No, I get it. But basically like the idea is to go like hostage a bunch of people and then
well okay to be fair though, and I guess this is a good question kind of going into it, do you think he intended to do hostages when he walked into that building that day? Do you think he intended to take hostages? To me, it seemed more like
we're talking about he wanted to go see Niebaum because he's obviously very frustrated. He wasn't convicted of anything yet because he was able to walk the street. Obviously, his peers thought he was not a good guy because everyone's questioning his presence either in the precinct or now when he went to internal affairs. But obviously something flipped, right?
I do think that he needed to have hostages because if he's going to be in this situation, he has to have some kind of leverage.
No, but
and he has to pretend like he's going to shoot him.
Did he intend to even start that situation in the first place? When he walked through that door, was he like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get this information, including getting hostages. I don't think that he walked into there. I think he generally expected to get answers from Niebaum, and things escalated and it just got into a bad situation. And he just did what he did because he literally had no other choice. I think that you think that he went into this honestly believing that this was his plan. I don't think he walked in that door with a plan.
Maybe he didn't walk in with the plan, but you really think he was going to get answers out of Niebaum? He was going to walk up and threaten Niebaum, and he was going to be like, "Oh yeah, you're right. I'm behind it all."
I think that
that's what you want,
like,
right?
I mean that's never happening, right? Like, I mean, the guy's going to say exactly what he did, which is to F off and, like,
he could have just as equally went to Niebaum's house and did the same thing. He could have walked in with a bulletproof vest on and explosives or something if he had a plan, but he didn't.
Right. He could have just drove to his house and stole his computer.
He didn't even, from what I remember, don't correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even think he brought his own weapon. I think he took that weapon while he was there. Correct. He didn't even show up with a weapon.
Yeah. Right.
He was probably like,
you can't show up with a weapon when you're.
But then how was he going to take hostages? He was
when you're under an investigation. Like then now, like the courtroom's like, when you went in to go talk to your boss there, why did you have a gun? Well, they took it away from you, didn't they?
That's assuming that you only have one, right? That's his assigned one, I assumed. But
right.
Like I don't think that he had a plan. I don't think he intended for that to happen because I think he's smart enough he would have had a better plan than what he ended up with. I think that he was just so desperate at that point that he was just walking in there just to try to get some answers if he could. And then when things escalated, he did what he knew best, basically, right?
To take advantage of the situation, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they set that up so much around every time he talks to the team to remind them that he knows better than them about what the situation is that they're dealing with. Step by step, right? Plus also I think we got enough of the exposition, the narration where they did explain a lot of stuff to us, either through the newscaster or him, relaying how they do their tactics over and over again.
I mean, this movie depended so much on happenstance to happen. So like, what if Niebaum wasn't in the office that day? He works from home all the time. They said that.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was a chance he could have been at the office.
What if the assistant wasn't there? They would have never found out about any of the computer stuff.
If what was
Paul Giamatti?
Rudy? If Rudy wasn't there, they wouldn't have been able to get past that secondary level.
No. Hold on. If Rudy wasn't there, they would not have been laughing as much.
Oh no, 100%. No. Giamatti in this was so good. Like,
yeah, he was really good.
They could have. If they would have put anyone else in that role, I don't think it would have worked. If they would have put Rob Schneider or David Spade or anyone else in that role, I don't think it would have been nearly as good as it turned out to be. That's Giamatti.
Yeah,
his timing and it's this is where I'd say I like the writing because they would have him play off of whatever was happening right before to basically remind everyone, what the fuck? Why am I here? I need to leave.
Yep, 100%.
We probably should have done an F-bomb count for our show. I think we're at 2. Yeah. We're doing all right. But now we're rated R.
We're rated R. We're not allowed for kids.
I censored myself. I did an F.
Oh, good. Then we're only at the 1. We might go up. We'll see. We'll see. With the progress they make, and obviously Chris Sabian moves through this discovery piece of who to trust, you do eventually get the flip where he basically realizes, everything Danny says is true. And yes, Bobby, it's extreme measures to get to this point. And obviously a lot of films take this and the happenstance has to be relied on. But as you learned who the bad guys were, who was really stealing from the police fund, committing the insurance fraud, and then, like you mentioned, learning about Grant Frost at the end, did you feel that closed it out enough for you? Or did you kind of want more, or maybe more action even around dealing with those guys? Because ultimately they just kind of get arrested, right?
Yeah, I mean, it worked. It worked for me. I really thought the FBI was going to be more involved. Like, I thought the FBI was going to be like have an investigation, like
they're
going
just
on.
there.
Why are you laughing, Matt? Why are you laughing?
There's useless NPCs in the background. Yeah,
I thought the FBI was going to be like
the only thing they do is come in and take shit over. That's all they do. Every movie,
it's totally, yes, it's very Die Hard. But I thought they were gonna say, "Hey, we're we've already got an open investigation. We know you're not part of it. We're tapping you too. You know, like instead, like they didn't help at all. I was confused by that.
I'm still by the end of this, and I know this we're now here in 2025, so we're 27 years, whatever, later. Like, was I the only one when they were talking about the fund? Like, they stole $2 million, and I was like, that's it?
Yeah, that's terrible.
Like
That's
7 guys,
terrible.
just $2 million. That's like nothing.
It's the pennies from Office Space, right?
Hans Gruber would be really disappointed with you guys.
Well, what did they? I thought it was about the retirement savings, but then he said it was some kind of weird.
It was
like,
a disability fund or something. It was like, it's like, you know, the pension funds that police usually have or whatever. Like they did. So they skimmed over, I think, a lot of the technicalities of that whole thing, probably because they're like, no one cares about the fund.
Yeah.
It's just, that's just the thing that triggers the whole thing. And who cares? But there's like, yeah, well, how did they get it? How did they siphon it? How clearly they had receipts, and then it was only $2 million that kind of like, how long was it going on? And at the end, what was it? Frost was like, most of it's gone.
Yeah.
So
well, he
like,
spent most of his cut is what it was, right?
I was like, on what? Like there had to be proof of that.
well, they
like
they said they spent some of it on trying to catch.
Oh yeah,
Sam Jackson or whatever.
Or yeah, to frame him, and then they paid off Nabom, right? So they gave him some probably. It's like literally, you did all this for nothing, like barely anything. You would have got more money if you would have just accidentally got shot in the knee or something and got part of the disability fund.
They actually got it for real, you mean, instead of
legitimately.
Oh my goodness, that's super sad to think about. Okay, you've lobbied for why they should have upped the dollar amount a bit more. And why did Nebob have to buy into it then too? One thing is, I think, Bobby, you mentioned a couple times, so I do want to ask, because this is such, I think, a big point of praise from you or contention. You need to tell me right now how you felt about this runtime.
Too long.
What would you cut is what I want to know.
I mean, like, see, I was into it, and then like when I noticed that Kevin Spacey wasn't in it yet, I was thinking like, holy crap, like how far are we into this thing? And so I looked, and we were like, yeah, like it was like a half hour, and then I looked, and we were like 40 minutes into it, and there's still like an hour and a half left, and I was like, oh, dude, come on. But maybe some parts of it I thought kind of like dragged a little bit, but I thought it was a pretty well-paced movie, to be honest. Like it kept me engaged. Like I enjoyed it. I really liked the cinematography. I thought the sound effects were pretty good. I mean, we joked about some of the over-the-top stuff, like the slow motion and like the choirs and that kind of stuff. But overall, I thought it was well directed. I thought that it looked really good.
Dang, didn't even ask your recommendation yet, but I'm hearing some of it.
No, I know.
Matt,
I know. That's why. That's why.
The runtime, Matt. I want to know. Did you feel the runtime?
A little bit, but it was weird because I feel like usually, because this was what 2.5 hours, something like that. I could feel it, but it was weird because it didn't bother me. Like usually, whenever because like I said, we're 45 minutes in before Sabian was introduced. Usually at that point, I'm like sinking in my chair, looking at my phone and just kind of checking out a little bit. But I was still fairly engaged in this. I mean, I had seen this a long time ago. So like I knew all the beats of it, but it never really lost me. I wouldn't want it to be any longer though. I think that if you're asking me, like, if I were to cut something out to cut it down by 10 to 20 minutes, I would probably think that I probably would have cut out a little bit of the hostage situation. I think there's probably a little bit of stuff you could have cut out. I think maybe you could have, like, I got that they needed to have the cop there, the 2 cops there as like additional hostages, but that breach technically probably wasn't necessary. You probably could have cut that part out and maybe a little bit at the beginning.
They need to make Adam Beck, David Morse, look like a bad guy.
Yeah, I know.
Trying to kill everyone so quick all the time. No, I'm agree. I was asking because I know, Bobby, you love those 90-minute movies.
I mean, they probably could have had less FBI dudes standing around.
Ooh, I thought you were going to say less effing. Less F's overall.
Yeah,
Just cut out all the F words.
That too. I want to see the 90-minute PG cut.
PG, like
PG-13 or whatever it is.
Somebody gets shot. You don't see the wound. You don't see the blood. They hit the ground, and then instead of screaming, they go, "Owie, owie."
The PG version, it's like 15 minutes long.
Your BB gun hurt. Your air rifle hurt so much.
Here's my version. I didn't do it. You know what? We've been friends for like 20 years. I think you might be right. Okay, let's take you down to like some other like They clearly have different offices, right? This is where this Chris Sabian guy is. They take him to the different office. He explains everything, and then that internal affairs says, "Yeah, I think you might be right. Let's look into this. Hey, you know what? There are some weird wires. Okay, well, like, oh, well, you didn't kill this guy. We're not so sure about this, but let's see that. Let's see." 15-minute movie.
I like your version. I like this version. I asked because I don't feel the runtime on this one, but in this day and age, when we think of some of the longer movies that have come out over the last 10 years, like big epic Marvel finishing the Avengers, right? That was pretty long, wasn't it?
I mean, as far as long movies go, for
Oppenheimer's long.
Yeah, for me, this was pretty well paced.
Yeah, I think that could be hard because, I mean, we live in a very YouTube 10 minutes, social media 3 minutes, hard to keep your attention. And I feel the same way with how it goes. We've run a little long. So, Matt, are you recommending The Negotiator?
I think it's worth a watch. I think that it's something that is maybe not 100% like timely. I don't, there are still some aspects of it that I think it really places its time period, but I think that there's
beepers,
the cell phones, the CRT screens and TVs, and the floppy disks. I'm pretty sure there's a good chunk of people that might be listening right now who not only know that floppy disks exist, but that they weren't floppy at that point, nor their storage capacity, nor the sound they made whenever the little thing clicked to the side and started spinning up. None of that they'd probably know. But I think that the core of it, I think, is timely enough that I think anyone could probably pick up and watch it. I think the performances are strong enough. I do agree that some of the acting was a little bit over the top on the police side, the FBI's whatever. But overall, it's an enjoyable watch. If you've never seen it before, I don't think that there's anything in here that's going to surprise you. But, it's at least something that will, be a solid 2.5 hour watch, I think.
Bobby?
Yeah, I remember thinking when we were going to watch this that there was less going on, and I thought that I was going to enjoy it less. And like I said before, as I spoiled this part of our segment here, that I really liked the cinematography, and I thought it moved well. I thought it was well lit. I thought that a lot of the actors looked familiar, and so I think it's pretty good. I mean, it's, most movies, like we say, it's probably not totally 100% perfect. You could pick at it if you look at it too closely, but if you want something kind of exciting and interesting, I think there's a good way to, this is a good one to pick.
Yeah, I'll echo both of your comments. I mean, this is a fun one for me. I have managed to enjoy this. I feel like every time I've sat down to watch it, it isn't one that I'm necessarily saying I'm watching year on year, and it has been a gap, but I was very happy to watch this again and kind of go through the paces of it and just find the places where I was surprised, remembering the jokes that I didn't remember and being able to laugh like it was the first time, and just the beats as they move through, I'll say, all the shenanigans, all the action, and really trying to say, is there a way that, they're going to prove Danny's innocence and get through that? I think this is a fun watch, and I absolutely recommend it. The time can vary in how you feel through it, but like you mentioned, I think it moves in a way that go in, get your popcorn, enjoy some shenanigans. It's a fun watch to me. So as always, thank you for listening. And you know what Nietzsche says, even the strongest have their moments of fatigue, and I'm fatigued. Bobby, Matt, I'm just fucking fatigued.